PYT Sports, everybody. Big season for Mike Vick, not just on the field, but obviously a big step for him rehabilitating his image. And Jake and I talked about this quite a bit during the season. I'm very dubious about his efforts at rehabilitation. Not as his efforts, he appears to be trying. I don't believe that anybody who engaged in the sort of sadistic behavior that he engaged in can ever really fix themselves. I think he can take the steps that he took to make it appear that he's a better person, and I unquestionably think that Michael Vick should be allowed to play again. He served a very appropriate sentence for the crimes he committed. He went to prison. He'd lost a tremendous amount of money. No question, he gets to come back on the field and play. I don't think there's, thank God we came back so I could be doing this to my hair. I'm glad you guys caught that. No question, Michael Vick gets to come back and he gets to play. There's no doubt about that. There should be no ambiguity there. I really don't understand anybody who thinks otherwise. But if you're going to torture dogs, I find it hard to believe that you're going to think, that anybody could think at any point that you get that really out of your system. It's the torturing. It's not the involvement in dog fighting. It's the hanging of the dogs, the shooting of the dogs, the drowning of the dogs, the cruelty that alarms me. So Michael Vick has to do a lot more to prove that he's got a clean soul to me. I'm not sure it matters. He's not my friend, but I'm dubious. So it's always interesting then when I read a story like this. It turns out that Michael Vick had a charity appearance, and he's done a lot of charity work, and he's done a lot of good things for dogs. In fact, he's brought all this great awareness to it, and it's a lot less dog fighting in the United States because of Mike Vick. But he was a no-show at a charity event called What It Takes. About 200 young men in Philadelphia showed up for this charity called What It Takes. It's to provide mentors to kids at risk, keep them from dropping out of high school, and he just didn't show up. They showed up, Mike Vick didn't. The Philadelphia Eagles, or his press liaison, a fellow named Chris Shigas, says that Vick didn't show up because he had to attend to a family business in Virginia. But again, that wasn't known until after he didn't show up. The Philadelphia Inquirer, a columnist named Ashley Fox, reported this week that the Eagles quarterback didn't show up because, again, that it was family business. But Fox points out that Vick may simply have just not come, that reasoning may be bogus. He doesn't say why that reason may be bogus, but he does say that he simply may have failed to show up. The man who organized the event said he knows Vick pretty well, and that if he could have, he would have been there for sure. But nonetheless, it is a puzzling decision that he simply didn't show up, and there was no real advance warning for it. Vick, of course, was scheduled to appear on the Oprah Winfrey Show back in February, but he canceled that a week before for personal reasons. There are some who thought that was a good idea to cancel it, that it would have been difficult to be on Oprah. I never bought that. It seems like Oprah would have been a great place for Mike Vick to continue his rehabilitation. So it's unclear. And Ashley Fox says, is this a trend that Vick is canceling appearances, or is it just an unfortunate coincidence? It's impossible to know. And he says that, well, Vick has done a lot to rehabilitate his image. This recent cancellations bring into question his ability to, quote, handle his new station in life as sort of the leading role in the face of the Philadelphia Eagles. I merely bring it up because I think it's something to watch. And again, I point out that there is a difference between being able to play and it being right that he's able to play in the NFL, because I don't think there's any doubt about that, and sort of us drawing the distinction of buying into the rehabilitation story that everybody wants to believe. What a great, we'd love rehabilitation stories. A guy who did these awful things has turned his life around. And there's a big difference between, can he play in the NFL? Does he have the right to play in the NFL? Yes. And is he sort of pure of heart? And we don't know, man. We're not George Bush. We can't look into Mike Vick's heart the way Bush could look into Putin's heart. We don't know. Maybe we shouldn't care, but we shouldn't just presume that because it's a great story that Michael Vick is all of a sudden a good person. He did some hideous, incredibly cruel things, and I'm dubious whether somebody who willingly engages in that kind of cruel behavior is all of a sudden a great guy. And if he's not showing up at charity events, who knows? Does it mean something? I have no idea. Something to think about.